Welcome back, students, to the next lecture in our series of rotational motion. Today, we are going to discuss about a critical and interesting topic called torque. So what is torque? Simply to say, in the previous lecture itself, I told you it is similar to force in translatory motion. Rotational motion, torque. If force is equal to mass into acceleration, if given mass is fixed, your torque is equal to I, which is the inertia analogous in rotational motion, into alpha, which is angular acceleration in rotational motion. So this is one simple formula. There are other formulas also to find out the torque. Let us find out how actually torque acts, how torque is identified, how torque is calculated. So we have seen some very standard example in our house. When we see a fan, we see the fan center of mass will be at rest. That means what we can conclude, if center of mass is at rest, the net force on fan is zero. Force on fan is zero. So, but still the fan can be fan can have angular acceleration with zero force. So you say there's no force required. You think that there's no force required to make the fan accelerate. Then why do we need to switch on the fan? So if you understand, if center of mass has to translate, we need to have force. Similarly, there's another quantity there, critical existing, that is torque, which is responsible for that angular acceleration in the fan. Force. So okay, then can we say a fan can have angular acceleration with zero force without switching on the fan? No, it's not possible. So force should be there, but then still the fan is at rest. The force can also be there, but net force can be zero, but still it can accelerate due to one physical quantity called torque. Net force can be zero, but torque cannot. If it is not zero, the fan can have angular acceleration. So force is required to have torque, but net force can be zero. So like the suppose there is a steering in your hand. In the steering, the center of mass of the steering is not moving. That means net force on the steering is actually zero. If your net force is not zero, actually steering has to uh, uh, travel with respect to you also. But what is happening? The steering is at rest with respect to you and the car. The net force on the steering is zero. But is a force on the steering zero? No. There is force existing. You are existing with your two hands. One hand in the forward direction, one hand in the backward direction. So that there is force, but net force is zero on the steering. But this force is causing a torque on the steering so that the steering can rotate and have an angular acceleration. So what is the relation between the torque and force? We're going to learn in this topic. How to calculate the torque. What is the relation it has with force? What is the relation it has with angular acceleration? And how a particle's torque is calculated? All these things all our doubts can be solved in this particular topic of torque. So let us see. So torque is an analogous concept to force in translatory motion, for rotatory motion, rotational motion. So this torque can be calculated for a single particle if about a point. Suppose if this is the fixed point above which you want to find out torque on a particle of mass m. If the force is applied like this on this particle, the torque on particle about this mass, about the torque of the particle about the origin. Origin is that about the fixed point here. O is how to find out. Just what you need to do is try to just try to release an arrow from here, like how you target bow and arrow. Just release an arrow to the particle where the point of application of force is acting. This is called as r vector, position vector, and this is force vector. So the torque of this particle about O will be r vector cross f vector, which is also a vector quantity. R cross f is a cross product, and the resultant will be a vector quantity which will be perpendicular to both position vector. In vector product, what is the concept here? If C vector is equal to A vector cross B vector, the C vector will be perpendicular to both A vector and B vector. Now this torque will be perpendicular to the plane of both position vector and this force vector for a single particle. And the other ways of solving this, if you want to try to find out magnitude of it, direction, it is perpendicular to the plane of both R and F. How to find out the magnitude? This is mod R mod F sine theta cross product. So either it is, this can be written as in two ways. You try to carefully understand this two way of writing this. One way is if you extend this force, now if I say this is the theta between position vector and force vector, because to find out the angle between two vectors, say the two tails should join or two heads should join. If I extend this tail of position vector and force vector are joining, so this is the angle between the two vectors. If this is theta, this can also be theta. So now there's two ways of solving it. Extend the line of action of force. This is called as line of action of force. Extend the line of force, then that line is called as line of action of force. So there will be, draw a perpendicular line from the point above which you want to find out the torque to this line of action of force. So what is this? If this is R, this line magnitude is R, this will be according to the triangle R sine theta. So now if you try to adjust this here as R sine theta into magnitude of F, that is also called as what? In this diagram, the distance between the perpendicular distance between the line of action of force and the point above which you want to find out the torque, that is r sine theta. So this can be written as mod r sine theta, that is r perpendicular, that is perpendicular distance between the line of action of force and the point above which you want to find out the torque into magnitude of force will give you torque. This is one way of finding out the magnitude of torque. And this R perpendicular is also called as lever arm or moment arm. Draw the perpendicular distance between line of action of force and the point above which you want to find the torque into, just multiply the force, you will get the torque magnitude. And there's other way to it. According to the comfort of the situation, you will be able to solve the question. One way is, now this force is there. This force will have two components, one along the position vector and other is perpendicular to the position vector. This will become F cos theta and this will become F sin theta. Actually, this is the one which is responsible for rotation of the particle, torque of the particle, not F cos theta. Like you see, there's your door in your house. If you try to catch this end of the door and try to pull in this forward direction, will the door rotate? No, because the angle between this F cos theta and position vector is 0. Both are in the same direction. So due to F cos theta, there will not be any torque on this particular particle. So that is why, but there will be torque due to this F sin theta, which is perpendicular to the position vector. Directly we can write it as torque is equal to, the same formula is adjusted as R into magnitude of R into F sin theta, which is actually F perpendicular. You will, in any way, you will get the same answer for the torque. One way is R cross P, if vectors are given. R is a vector from about which point you want to find the torque to the position where the force is getting applied. Another way is R perpendicular into F, that is lever arm or moment arm into magnitude of force. What is this R perpendicular? This is the perpendicular distance drawn from the line of action of force to the point above which you want to find out the torque. Then what another way? Find out the force that is perpendicular to this position vector R and find out the parallel force. Due to parallel force, there will not be any torque. Due to perpendicular force, there will be torque. That is R into F perpendicular. Now whatever the torque is there, that will be perpendicular to the plane of both R and F. Those are some of the important conclusions you need to take away from this torque concept. From this torque concept only, you will have a lot of extension and study of problems. We will solve some problems throughout this lecture so that you will become familiar with finding out the torque of a different torque for different situations. If you see the torque of a body system of particles, suppose there is an axis of this sort and there is a rigid body of this sort which is rotating about this axis. So here I'm going to derive the formula of torque is equal to I alpha form, how angular acceleration is caused by torque for this system of particles. So now whenever you apply some force on this body in such a way that there will be rotation on this body, every particle on this body will actually move in a circular motion that we have already discussed. So if a particle is moving in a circular motion, we know the speeding up of the increase of the speed of the particle will only be dependent on tangential force to it, right? So what is the force on a single particle? First, if this is one particle, this is second particle, and another third particle. So force on first particle is equal to, that is mass of the first particle into acceleration of the first particle. And similarly, force on second particle is equal to mass of the second particle into acceleration of the second particle. Force on third particle is equal to mass of the third particle into acceleration of the third particle. So now, if we add up all the forces, F1 vector plus F2 vector plus F3 vector, so M1 into A1 vector plus A2 vector plus A3 vector, and so on. So now if you want to find out torque on a single particle, that is, first on first particle the torque is R1 vector cross F1 vector plus R2 vector on second particle cross F2 vector, and so on, is equal to R1 into M1 A1 vector, R1 cross M1 A1 plus R2 into M2 A2, and so on. So similarly, you see R1 cross F1. Do you understand one thing? So the particle is rotating, and you see the particle's velocity will be perpendicular to from the axis always the particle is moving in a perpendicular direction to the axis. From the axis, you see here, the velocity will be tangential to the circular motion. So whatever the force is there, that force component which is tangential only can speed up the particle. The speed of the particle we have seen in circular motion, what did we see? Only tangential acceleration can cause the rate of change of speed. So if at all there is change in speed, that is due to tangential acceleration. The tangential acceleration is caused by tangential force, and this tangential force will be perpendicular to this axis anyway. So then directly that RF sine will be 90. So RF sine 90, that will be RF1 is equal to R1 M1 A1, RF2 is equal to R2 M2 A2. Now we know A1 will be how much? V is equal to R omega. So if dV by dt, that is rate of change of speed, magnitude of velocity is R omega, the rate of change of speed is equal to R into d omega by dt, because R is that constant. So now the answer will be R alpha. The acceleration, the tangential acceleration can be written as R alpha. This also we have studied in circular motion. So this can be written as R1 M1 R1 alpha, like that R2 M2 R2 alpha, and so on and so on. So here we will get the net torque. If we add all these things, we will get net torque. If you add all these things, what we will get is M1 R1 square alpha plus M2 R2 square alpha. But whatever the different particles may be, alpha will remain same at a given point of time for all the particles, because all the particles will cover at the same angle at the same time. If we take a door, you see the door will, if you want to make the door rotate for 90 degrees, all the particles in the door will rotate 90 degrees at the same time. So in the similar way, alpha will be same for all the particles at a given point of time. So and so on. If you see here, if we take m alpha as common, m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus so on. So this will give you alpha into I. So this is a torque net on this body, I into alpha vector. This is a analogous to force net is equal to mass into acceleration in rotational motion. So, but another point you need to understand here is, whenever you're taking torque, you see whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. So general convention is you can take any other convention if whatever you want. So if it is making the body rotate, if its effect is such that it is tending the body to rotate in the anti-clockwise direction, that torque is taken as positive, and if it is tending the body to take in clockwise direction, that torque is taken as negative. But it is your wish, whatever you want to take positive and other one will become negative, and you can calculate accordingly. Let us go ahead. This is for system of particles. There's three ways here. One is R cross F for torque, and other way is R cross P, R into R perpendicular into F, and other way is R into F perpendicular, and other way is I into alpha if it is a system of particle directly. These are the ways, different ways of finding out a torque. Let us see some problems using these formulas. A force of 20 minus k, 20 minus k negative, the 20 newtons is acting on negative z direction. Newtons acts on origin, on the coordinate system. Find the torque about 0.2 minus 2 comma 0. First you need to understand about which point they are asking. That initial point will be equal to 2 comma minus 2 comma 0. This is the, take it to be meters. And what is the where the force is acting? Origin. That means the final point will be 0 comma 0 comma 0. So what is the position vector then? That final point minus initial point, because you have seen here, if this is the point above which force torque has to be calculated, the force is acting on this point, how will we draw the position vector from the point above which you want to find out the torque. From there to you will draw a vector till the point where the force is getting applied. Now the final point will be here origin in the question, and the initial point will be 2 comma minus 2 comma 0. So that final point will be final minus initial will be the position vector. To 2 minus 0, sorry, final will be 0 minus 2 I cap r vector plus 0 minus of minus 2, that is plus 2 j cap, 0 minus 0 k cap. So this is a position vector. And what is the force vector? Please students, be careful in understanding. So generally origin some students will actually do, instead of final vector minus initial vector, they'll do initial vector minus final vector. So there is a chance of going wrong here. You see above which point you have to find out the torque. That point will be that initial point here, and where the force is acting, that point will be the final point. Final minus initial will be that position vector. The force vector is how much? 20 into minus k cap. So if you have to find out what is the torque, you know how to find out the cross product. That is, first vector will be written here minus 2 to 0 I cap j cap k cap, and second vector is 20 into minus k cap, that is nothing but what, minus 20 0 0. How what is the torque? I cap into, you just try to, when you want to find out I cap, you just cut this two lines and then find out 2 into minus 20. When you are finding out I cap, when you are finding out I cap, you just try to eliminate this row and this column and find out this. Find out the formula like this. 2 into minus 20, that is minus 40. Is 40 minus 0. This will be plus minus plus. Then in a similar way, minus j cap into, you eliminate this both the things. This column and this row, and you try to find out minus j into minus 2 into minus 20, that is nothing but what, plus 40 minus 0 0. Similarly plus k into k vector into, so minus 2 into 0 minus this k vector line, and this horizontal line should be cut off. Minus 2 into 0 minus 2 into 0, that means 0. So the answer will be minus 40 I cap minus 40 j cap, that is, you can write it as minus 40 into I cap plus j cap Newton meter. The unit will be Newton meter. Force into, but you don't try to write joule, because energy also will have same dimensions. Newton force into displacement. Force into displacement is Newton into meter. But here you need to write Newton meter, not joules. Though they may look dimensionally equal, but their units are different. Right? Try to write in Newton meter formula. Then let us see the next question. And here you understand another important point here. So whatever the force is there here, 10 minus k cap, the resultant vector is, you see here, it is perpendicular to that force vector. And if you want to see, and if you want to find out this position vector, so it will also be perpendicular to the position vector. So you try to find the torque. Torque, what is the value of torque here? We got it as minus 40 into I cap plus j cap. Okay, what is position vector here? Minus 2 I cap plus 2 j cap. So you multiply here, minus 2 into 40, because dot product is what? Should be 0. if they are perpendicular to each other. So minus 2 into minus 40 will be giving you 80. So plus 2 into minus 40 will give you minus 80. That will be 0. You see here, dot product between torque and R is 0. Torque dot R vector is equal to 0. Why? Because the torque will be perpendicular to both the position vector and also the force vector. You can try to find out the force vector, dot product between force vector and torque vector. Again you will get a torque dot force vector will also be 0, because it should be perpendicular to both force vector and position vector. If it is not 0, if dot product is not 0, that means they are not perpendicular. If they are not perpendicular, that means your answer is wrong. This is another way of checking your answer, whether your answer is correct or not. This is an interesting point to be noted. Let us go to the next question. Students. If I is equal to moment of inertia is equal to 50 kg meter square, how much torque will be applied to stop it in 10 seconds if its initial angular speed is 20 radian per second? So you need to understand, initial angular speed is 20 radian per second. You can try this question by pausing my video. Its initial angular speed is 20 radian per second. That is omega initial is equal to 20 radian per second. So final should be how much? Should be 0, because it has to get stopped. Now how much time it has to stop? 10 seconds. So we know if there is constant angular acceleration, it is constant acceleration, that is angular retardation, if it is opposite to the initial angular angular velocity, that is omega final is equal to initial plus alpha into t. That is what omega final is. 0 is equal to omega initial is 20 plus alpha into t is how much? 10. That is alpha is equal to minus 2 radian per second square. That is nothing but what? Opposite to the minus symbol indicates that is opposite to the initial angular velocity. So you need to have an angular retardation of 2 radian per second square or angular acceleration of minus 2 radian per second square. From where this angular acceleration will come or retardation will come? From the torque you apply opposite to the initial angular velocity. The torque, you know, as on a system of particles or a rigid body is called as I alpha. By using that formula you can easily solve here. So what is alpha here? So that is 2 radian per second square. What is I here? 50 kg into meter square, that is equal to 100 Newton meter will be your answer. Then let us see another question. Let us see as another quality question. A fixed pulley of radius 20 centimeters, radius is equal to 20 centimeters or 0.2 meters, and moment of inertia as 0.32 kg meter square about its axis, because it will, if it is rotating here, the moment of inertia is 0.32 kg meter square. The massless cord wrapped around its rim. A 2 kg mass m is attached to the end of the if it is massless, entire tension will be same throughout the string here. The pulley can rotate about its axis, that we have already studied in Newton's laws of motion. The pulley can rotate about its axis without any friction. Find the acceleration of the mass. So if to find out the acceleration of the mass, so we have one equation here. One equation is, if you draw the free body diagram of this mass m, that will be mg, and cut it and pull it, tension upwards. So mg minus t is equal to m into a. This is one equation that we get from force equation. But is it sufficient enough to solve what is the acceleration of mass m? No, because we don't know tension here. So, but another important thing what you can find out is, by using the rotational equation, torque equation, we can simplify our equation and get the answer. So what is the torque equation? So if you see the pulley, why the pulley is getting rotated? If it is rotated, it is getting rotated because when the block is going downwards, the pulley should get rotated. So if the pulley is getting rotated means that there's a torque on the pulley, and what is the torque? And the torque is causing angular acceleration in the pulley and the rotation in the pulley. So the torque is caused by only tension here because there's no friction and all here. So the tension, if you see the free body diagram of the pulley, there will be tension, cut it and pull it in this direction. So the tension is actually causing the rotation in the pulley. The tension is what is the torque here? The pulley is rotating about its axis. The torque is equal to, from the formula, the tension T into torque is equal to force into perpendicular distance. What is the perpendicular distance here? Radius of the pulley. That is equal to what? Torque is equal to I alpha. I has given as I into alpha. But what is given as I here? 0.32 kg meter per second square. So this is the equation. So the tension is equal to I into alpha by R. But another point, what you can understand here is that whatever the angular acceleration that wheel is having, so if it is this point will be how much? We know that tangential acceleration of this point on the wheel, so this point on the wheel is nothing but R into angular acceleration of the wheel. The wheel is purely rotating about its axis without any slipping. So then we can say alpha. Why? Because v is equal to magnitude of the velocity of this point is equal to R into omega. Then tangential acceleration, that is speeding up of the rate of increase of the speed of this point, that is acceleration, tangential acceleration is equal to R into alpha. This we have already discussed it in the previous questions. If it is not slipping, the velocity of this thread will be equal to the velocity of the wheel at that particular point of conjunction. Then this alpha can be replaced as A by R. Then I A by R square will be the tension here. So we can substitute this equation here and get acceleration. So mg minus tension is equal to ma. The tension can be replaced by ia by r square. Mg minus ia by r square is equal to ma. Then a into m plus I by r square is equal to mg. Then what will be answer? A is equal to mg divided by m plus I by r square. What is I here? Here already I is given as 0.32 kg meter per second. Mass is given as 2 kg. That is 2 into g10 divided by 2 plus I is 0.32 by r square is 0.2 whole square, that is 0.04. So this can go as 32 by 4, 4 8s are 32. That means 8 plus 2 is 10. So 2 into 10 by 10. The answer will be 2. So acceleration is equal to 2 meter per second square. Here we understood two important points here. Not only to, in the free body diagram, not only use a force equation, but also we have learned how to use a torque equation and how to connect it to I alpha. And also another important point, how to relate if there is no slipping there, simply that wire is going downwards and the wheel is also rotating, that the tangential acceleration of that wheel will be equal to the acceleration of the wire, that is equal to R into alpha of the R into angular acceleration of the wheel. From this, using these three equations, one equation, second equation, torque equation equal to I alpha, third equation. By using these three equations, we are able to solve whatever we have required. This is one good quality question in one of the previous year exams. Let us see another important concept here, equilibrium. What is equilibrium? If a body is said to be in equilibrium, it has to be in both translational equilibrium and rotational equilibrium. So translational equilibrium means net force should be equal to 0 on the body, on the system of particles, and rotational equilibrium is net torque should be equal to 0. If both net external torque and net external force are 0 on a given system of particles, then we can say the body is in equilibrium. If net force is only 0 external force, then we can say the body is in translational equilibrium. If only net torque on the body is 0, then we can say the body is in rotational equilibrium. If both net force and net torque are zeros for a given system of particle, then we can say that the body is in equilibrium. Let us solve this question to explain more clearly about this equilibrium concept. A uniform rod of 20 kg is hanging in a horizontal position with the help of two threads. Okay, it also supports a 40 kg mass as shown in the figure. Find the tensions developed in each thread. So here both the tension will not be equal. You see here this mass is actually tilted more towards the left side. So that means it is not guaranteed that this tension A and tension B will be equal. So what I can do is I'll try to solve here. First the thing is entire system is at equilibrium. You see, either it is translating, neither it is translating nor it is rotating, but that means it is both in translational equilibrium and also in rotational equilibrium. So that conveys to us, we can write net force should be equal to 0, and also net torque on the system can also be equal to 0. If I take this 40 kg block free body diagram, there will be 40 G downwards and there will be tension T3 I will take, because I will take TA, TB as T1, T2, or rather TA and TB. Now this 40 kg block is in equilibrium. That means T3 minus 40 G is equal to 0. That is T3 is equal to 40 G or 400 newtons. So we got what is the tension in the string directly. But now if you see the rod here, he asked what is the tension developed in each thread. This third thread on this 40 kg rod is 400 newtons. But if you see the free body diagram, to get the tension in A and B, we need to know the free body diagram of, we need to draw the free body diagram of this rod. So what is the mass of this rod? 20 kg uniform rod. There will be exactly 20 G which is acting. We can write all these things. If this is an extended body, we can assume that entire mass to be concentrated at its center of mass. Exactly, so we can say, can consider it as 20 G or 200 newtons acting at the center of mass of this rod. Because it's uniform, we can take directly the center of mass will be at L/2 distance. So now there will be a string here which is cut it and pull it. There will be a string which is at a distance of L/4, and that string is applying a tension. It will pull the downward block also, it will pull this upward rod also to downward in direction. That will be how much? That we already concluded that 3 that 3 is equal to how much? 400 newtons. So now there will be a tension this on this edge due to cut it and pull it, TA upwards, and cut it and pull it, TB upwards. If we draw the free body diagram and write the force equation for it, TA is upwards, TB is upwards, and T3 and this 200 newtons is downward. The TA plus TB is equal to 400 plus 200, that is nothing but what? 600 newtons. One clarity we got is TA plus TB is equal to 600 newtons. So if there are options in your question, you can see the option summation should be 600 newtons, but you have only one equation here, T in terms of T and TB. We need to find out another equation because two variables are there. You need two equations to solve this, but only one equation you're able to find out through this force equation. That means to find out another equation to solve this TA and TB, we need to go and approach in such a way that the body is also in rotational equilibrium. So if the rotational equilibrium is also there, we can write the torque equation and make it 0. Now let us see how I'm going to draw the torque to this body. So one interesting note point I'll tell you here. You can directly solve this in your own way of writing torque. And one note point I'll tell you. If a body is in translational equilibrium, torque about any point will be same. That means what? Here the rod is in translational equilibrium, it's not translating, also it is in rotational equilibrium. So if you find out the torque about any point, that value will be same. First thing here is the torque is 0. So the torque is 0 means about any point the torque should be 0. The body is not at all rotating. That means at about every point the net torque is 0. Otherwise, if at a particular point about a particular point, if torque is not 0, that means it should rotate about that point. So that means every point on the rod can be taken for calculating torque because it's 0. Otherwise, this node point also can use. If a body is in translational equilibrium, torque about any point on the body will be same. That means you can take any point and try to find out the torque. The value of your answer will not change because it's already in translational equilibrium. So this node point you can use and solve the problem, or otherwise, because it is in rotational equilibrium, the torque should be 0 about any point. So which point will be more comfortable for you if you want to draw the torque? You know that if the force is passing through that particular point above which you want to find out the torque will be 0 because R will become 0 there. So which will be easier for you to find out that, because this is known quantity for you. So I don't want to eliminate this thing in this force in torque equation. This is a known quantity for me. I don't want to eliminate this one also in the torque equation. So this is an unknown. This is an unknown. If I take either A as my point above which I want to calculate torque, or B point above which I want to calculate torque, that force which is passing through B point or A point will not contribute to any torque. Like you apply force on the hinge exactly about the point about which the door is rotating, the torque contribution due to that force will be 0. And similarly here too, any point can be taken because it's also in rotational equilibrium. And this node point, conclusion, which point you would prefer, or I would prefer, is preferably either A point or B point, so that one of that A tangent A or tangent B will be eliminated in my equation. And if I get another value and I substitute in this first equation, I will be able to get the answer. So if I take TA as my point above which I want to calculate torque, so torque due to TA will be 0. So TA into R, I'll try to find out. TA into 0, the torque will be 0, plus the tension here. This will be what? This will give you what? Clockwise feeling. You can take clockwise as positive or anti-clockwise positive. I'll take clockwise as negative. So now this tension 400 Newton will try to give a clockwise torque to this rod about this point, isn't it? You're trying to pull it 400 Newton downwards and the point fixed is here. The rigid point is here. So it will give a clockwise direction torque. That means what is the torque? R cross F. Try to draw a line here. The perpendicular distance is what? Angle between them is 90. And what is the perpendicular distance? R is L by 4 into that force is 400 newtons, and it will be minus because I am taking it as a clockwise torque. So this 200 newtons is an also clockwise torque, and the R will be what? L by 2 into 200 newtons into minus, because angle between them is again what? 90 degrees, sine 90. And minus, why did I take? Clockwise torque it is given. But plus L into TB will cause a clockwise anti-clockwise torque. You see, TB is in the upward force. Otherwise you could try to draw a line here, and you apply R cross F. You will get an upward torque due to it. So this clockwise sense rotation, anti-clockwise sense rotation. So it can be taken as positive. L into tension TB into plus 1 should be equal to how much? 0. The net torque should be equal to 0. That is, clockwise torque should be equal to anti-clockwise torque. In that way you can solve. Otherwise net torque is equal to 0. Taking clockwise torques as clockwise sense of rotations as negative, anti-clockwise sense of rotation as positive. So if this is 0 anyway, so L by 4 minus 400 L by 4 means what? 100 L plus L by 2 or 200 minus L by 2 into 200 is what? Minus 100 L plus TB into L is equal to 0. That means TB into L is equal to 200 L. L get cancelled. That means tension at B point is equal to 200 newtons. Now if you get this equation answer, substitute in that first equation, wherein TA plus TB is equal to 600 newtons. So TA plus TB is, that is 200 newtons, is equal to 600 newtons. That means TA is equal to 400 newtons. You got the values of both this. How did you solve this? One is force equation, other is torque equation. What is the new point you have learned here? If the body is in rotational equilibrium, torque about any point should be 0 only. So you can select any point. How do you select that point? Whichever force you want to eliminate, that force passing point you select as select as that point above which you want to find out torque. Why? Because that force will be eliminated in our equation. It becomes more simpler for you to solve. Here TA and TB, I want to eliminate one among them. I took A point. You can take B point also and can solve the equation. You will get the same answers. So then I wrote the torque equation about that point. How did I write that torque equation? I drew a line vector from that point above which you want to find out torque to the force vector, and the angle between them is 90 degrees here. So then the distance between the perpendicular distance between them is that L by 4 and L by 2 and L. So then you use that perpendicular distance into force into a sine theta angle between them, and clockwise direction sense rotation torques you took it as negative, and anti-clockwise sense rotation torques you took it as positive. Then you equated that net torque is equal to 0 and you get the answer. This is a way of solving. This is a very 5-star problem. You can take note of this problem as 5-star quality problem for equilibrium. Is a very standard example for equilibrium concept. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture. We'll further discuss angular momentum, further topics in coming lectures. Thank you.